Hello there and welcome back to another edition of the Hot Lab Classic Remastered. This time take a look at the 1968 Shelby GT500. Our first Shelby to take on the course. And yeah, this should be interesting. I can't remember what colour this comes in, but I remember it has a very funny colour name. I think it's like broom yellow or something. So hopefully it can do a lot of brooming today. I'm not sure if it's a convertible or not. I'm sure someone... I'm assuming that's a vinyl roof, but... Yeah, I mean, I think it looks pretty cool. Not as cool as the GT350, but still, it's cool, although I'm a little bit scared of it. Front engine rear-wheel drive, 616 horsepower, a lot of torque, 1,440 kilos. If you've been following this series, you know that these muscle cars are interesting. Anyways, this is going to get 6 laps of the Motorsports Land track in order to set the best time it possibly can. Our current leader... Oh, wow. Bit of a supercharger whistle. I don't think I've ever heard that before. Anyways, this car is going to get 6 laps of the Motorsports Land track in order to set the best time it possibly can. Our current leader is the Mitsubishi Evo 5 RS, set a time of 27.806. This is not going to be setting that time. I mean, Plymouth Cuda sits, I think it was like a 32.4, Corvette 31.6. The Camaro has been the quickest retro muscle car we've had so far, and I think the Camaro got there purely because it makes not a lot of power. So, whereas this obviously makes an awful lot of power, weighs an awful lot, and doesn't have a racing modification. So, we'll see how well this one gets along. So far, it's not actually that bad to drive. And it's very, very quick. 142 kilometers an hour. I think that's the same speed that Roof CTR2 we had out a little while ago. I think that's the same speed that was getting. Might even be the same speed the Evo 5 RS was getting. So, you know, if you transplant this engine into a decent chassis, then it'd be all gloves are off, but this is not a decent chassis. This is a terrible chassis. Or rather, let me be kind to it. I'm sure this wasn't a terrible chassis when it was new, but it is now. I'm not sure, obviously this is based on a Mustang, but I'm not sure which... Or is it a Cougar, mate? I don't know. This rear end, I don't recognise this rear end. I know my American muscle car knowledge is pretty terrible, to be fair. So, if someone would like to go ahead and let me know down below in the comment section what Mustang or whatever this is supposed to be based on. Unless, I mean, it could be a very late Mark 1. They might have had a different rear end. I know the... obviously, cars like the Mach 1 did have a different rear end on them. But, yeah, I don't know. The light bar style doesn't seem to ring any bells. It actually reminds me a lot of the... I don't know if you remember this from the 2000s, but it was everywhere. When they were doing the new Mustang in, like, 2004, they rear light bar on that. Reminds me a lot of this. That car was in, like, loads of games. I remember that. I had like a Hot Wheels of that, I think. And then there was the GTR model of it as well, which I think was... I think the GTR, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the GTR was even featured in Grid. Even though that car was like long out by that point, the concept car sort of lived on in that game a little bit, so... Interesting. Of course, Ford Racing, it was in that. I think this could go quicker, but it would take a better man than me to make it go quicker, is my conclusion on this. It's, to be fair to it, it actually isn't all that terrible to drive. Drift it around some corners, because that's obviously what it wants to do. It's not actually all that terrible to drive, it's just, I don't know, a combination of like the weight and the gearbox on this is just not great. You can see how much it leans through the corners as well. This has got racing suspension, and that's just how much it leans because it's giant and American. It's another one of those cars, I think we're seeing this a lot more recently, that's really affected by the first sector of this track. I think every other sector, this isn't that bad. It's just that first sector, it just can't compete round, really. I think it could have gone quicker, but maybe not looking at those splits. Either way, it's not actually that bad, to be honest with you. That's a reasonably good time. I mean, it's obviously way up on the Cuda and the Plymouth GCX. I forgot to mention that one. That car was horrendous. But it isn't no Corvette. 31.778 will place it into 136th place. It is beaten very slightly by the Corvette 427 Stingray, but then again, I think the Corvette probably should be beating this. It is quicker than a Nissan Stagia, quicker than a Lotus Elise, quicker than a BMW 323 Ci, Silvia, Terreno. I mean, it did pretty well. It's not, considering how old this car is and also how bad these muscle cars can and are being, that's actually pretty reasonable, I think, for this. And yeah, good car. Got to drive something. I don't think I've ever driven this in this game either, so good fun. Watch out for the GT350, because I think that might be a Camaro killer if it's got good handling. Anyways, that's it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Join me next time when I'll be driving something completely different. Until then, farewell.